Yo, what's good? Welcome to Nxt Gen Amolytics, the platform. On today, I'll be giving you a high-level overview of what the platform offers so you can utilize it to your advantage. Starting out here, we're on the home page, in which you'll see matchup cards for today's games. As well, given that it is the playoffs right now, you'll see a playoff series status piece here, in which you'll see the series records for each given series. And then down here, you got the player season averages table, in which you see the top 20 players based on their points per game average for the given season. And then you got a prop summary table here, in which you see the top 20 players based on their over hit rate in the last 10 games. Basically, this page is a snapshot of what's going on today. In the player stats tab, you'll see a heat map for each given stat. The heat map is predicated on the percentile the player is in for that given stat. So the lighter green you have here, they're in the 80 to 100 percentile, and then the lighter red you have, they're in the 0 to 20 percentile for that stat. Currently, it is filtered to the playoffs. However, say you just want to see the regular season, you can select that, and then it'll filter to just regular season games. You also can filter by team, position, minimum games played, season type that I mentioned, as well as season segment, in which you can click the last end games, the month, or pre or post All Star break. You can also select the date range as well as home and away. Currently, right now, it's showing the traditional stats. However, say for instance, you want to just see advanced stats, you go here, select advanced stats, and apply it to the table. And now you see advanced stats such as offensive rating, defensive rating, pace, etc. Props tab. In this tab, you'll see a table for each and a record for each given prop for a player available on that day. Currently, you see Dennis Schroeder here, Cleveland at Toronto. His assist prop over 1.5. He's hit that in his last 5 games as well as his last 10 games. His season averages 4.8. And then you have this opponent ranking tab here. So you can get a snapshot of what that their opponent is allowing for that prop. Currently, Toronto is number 2 in assists allowed. You can also filter on opponent rankings. So say, for instance, I just want to see teams who are in 21 through 30 ranking for a given prop. So now I only see those records that have an opponent in the 21 through 30 ranking. You can also filter on prop type. So say, for instance, I just want to see points props for today. And then you also can filter the sportsbook. So say, for instance, I don't use DraftKings, I use FanDuel. So I select that, and now I see only the props for FanDuel as well as the odds. You can filter on team and matchups as well. You also can select the under direction for it. So right now I'm on over, but I can select under, and now I see only under props for the table. You can clear those filters. And say, for instance, you want to look at a specific player. So say, for instance, Jalen Brunson. Now I only see Jalen Brunson's props on this table. On him. So now let's go to the combos tab, in which you can see, the combos props such as points and assists, blocks and steals, double doubles, etc. You can filter down to those. So say, for instance, I just want to see people for a triple double today. So now I see, Jokic minus 119 for a triple double, hitting his last 3 out of 5 and last 6 out of 10. Moving to the team stats tab, in which you have the similar feel of the heat map, just as you did for the player stats table. However, it's on a team level this time. Same type of filters, but you got teams, conference, division. It's currently filtered to the playoffs, home and away, season segment, and date range. You still have the ability to only look at advanced stats, and then also you don't have to select all the advanced stats. Say, for instance, I just want to see offensive rating and defensive rating and all, as well as net rating. So I select those, and now you see those have been appended to the end of this table, in which you have offensive rating, defensive rating, and net rating. As I mentioned, you can select regular season here if you just want to see that. And then you can also sort these. So, you want to see the team scoring the most points per game. And so now you see the Cavs are averaging 120 and a half this postseason. And then you can go to the opponent stats. So you want to see, what they're allowing their opponents to get against them. And so you see op points. Um, Again, you can sort this. So, Toronto, they're facing Cleveland right now. So they're giving up 120 and a half. You can see the opponent field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, etc. You also can do advanced stats for here. So say, for instance, I just want to see opponents' effective field goal percentage as well as the true shooting percentage. And then those are appended to the end of this table. To the matchups, in which is similar snapshot that you saw on the home page, but you can go to the matchups tab. You can go back to yesterday's games and see what happened in those games. What were the open and closed lines for those games? You also can see for instance uh, basically a snapshot of what went on in that game. What was the betting outcomes? So you can see across the various sports books what the lines they had. Where would you have got the best line when line shopping for that game? Currently, it's not filtered, but selected close lines, but you can look at open. What did these games open at? And see movement there. You can see the top performers here for each given team. And then you have the team box score. You can see traditional stats. Highlighted is the team that won in that given stat. And then you can see advanced too, advanced stats too. And then you can see effective field goal percentage, true shooting percentage, etc. Again, the team who had the higher percentage for that given stat is going to be highlighted in green. And you got the player stats box score here, in which you can see traditional here, and then you can select that to see the advanced stats for them, and then you got the injuries and players who are out for that given game. Going back here, so say for instance, also I want to show the all series tab here, in which you can see just the different series, what the games are that they have scheduled, as well as what the results were for past games and what was the spread for those games. You can see these across both conferences. Going back to today's games. So now, say for instance, I want to look into this New York and Atlanta game. And so you'll see a team comparison table here, their records, as well as offensive rating, defensive rating, etc. You'll see their roster. At first, you'll see the top 5 players based on minutes played, but you can drop it down to see all the players on their roster. And then you can see the injuries as well for those teams. New York having nobody out, and then Atlanta having Jack Lindell out. And then if you hit this view props here, it'll bring you back to that props tab that I showed you, but now it's filtered to just that matchup. Going back to that matchup, say for instance, I want to look at the betting trends for that game. And so you see today's lines, you'll see the different sports books offered, and you can compare the lines for that game and seeing where you can beat the lines across those various sports books. And then team betting trends, you see what have they been doing against the spread the last 10 games as a moneyline underdog as well as a moneyline favorite, and their over-under record. You can change this, say for instance, I just want to see the last 5 games. So that filters down this table to those 5 games. And then you can also see their head-to-head record against the spread, money line, as well as over and under. And then you can drop down to show the records for those games, seeing where the books had the money line, the spread, as well as the over-under. So we can go to LeBron's profile here. You'll see his season averages as well as the percentile he's in for those given stats. The higher they are, the greener this percentile bar will be. Middle tier being yellow, and then the worst being red. You can see his game logs. You got a couple filters here. Season type, got it on all right now. But say, for instance, I just want to see playoff games. So I can filter to just see those, or I can just see regular season games if I wanted to. So, and then also season segment, same field here, as well as home and away, and then certain opponents if you just want to see. So, say for instance, I just want to see Houston, but let's go to full season. I can see all his game logs against Houston for this season. It's currently in traditional, but you can switch it to advanced to see his advanced stats for those games. And then to props here, in which you can see more of a specified, view of LeBron's props, and be able to filter to like teammates out as well as the opponent. So currently, they're facing Houston right now. So say for instance, I just want to see LeBron's uh, props against Houston for the season. So they have him at 8.5 currently for his props against Houston. He's covered that one time in which he had 13 game one of the series. However, the other games he has not covered that line against them. And then you can go down, to each of these and drop it down to see the game record as well as what the book had him at for those games and see at what he's doing against this line. So you're going to see, over here, verse 8.5, he's gone under, over, and then under the other 3 times. Also, you can see, for instance, say Luka's out. Where is Luka at? Luka and Austin Reeves is out. Where is Reeves? I'm missing him. Oh, there you are. Okay. So I select that, and I just want to see his games against Houston with both of them out. What is he doing? So he covered that 8.5 line, the first game of this series. However, last game he did not. You also can take. Oh, he's covered his rebounds. What they have him at 6.5, 7.5. They moved it up. He's covered that in both games, having 8. However, say for instance, I don't want to see just Houston. So I'm going to select all opponents, and I want to see the games in which both Luka and Reeves are out. And so now you see he's covered his rebounds in 5 out of 7 of those games. And then the opponent ranking is the same field that I mentioned earlier, in which, if you want to see LeBron's, what are they? They're number 2 for assist. So I just want to see LeBron versus, top 5 opponents in assists. So he's covered in his last 10 games versus opponents in the top 5 for assists. He's covered that line, 8.5 line 3 out of 10 times. And so you got Houston twice, given, they're in the series right now. And then you got Houston here on March 18th that he didn't cover. But he's covered that line 3 times, gone under 7 times. You can still filter your sportsbook here to the sportsbook that you want, and it's going to filter to that sportsbook and show you the odds and lines for that given sportsbook. Moving to the team profile page here, in which you can see the stats tab, both team stats and opponent stats. You can filter these averages down. So say for instance, I just want to see the Lakers on the road. You can see their averages have changed as well as their rankings. You also can see the same thing from opponent standpoint as well. What are they allowing their opponents to get? Moving to the game log tab, you see their game logs the last 10 games right now by default. You can see this in both traditional and advanced views. You also can filter this down to opponents. So say for instance, I just want to see Lakers versus Houston. So in their last 10, they faced Houston twice. However, if I change the season segment to full season, you'll see all 5 games, including the postseason and regular season against Houston that they had. Putting that filter. And then moving to the betting trends tab. in which you get a summary overview of what they're doing, on the money line against the spread, as well as the over under. You can see in the last 10 games, the Lakers have won on the money line 7 times, as well as against the spread. They've won 7 times, losing three. And then they're over under. They've only won, not one, but went over 3 times versus under 7 times. They've been the underdog quite a bit, as of late. So, and they've been covering the spread for those games. You also can filter this 2 season segment. So, say for instance, I just want to see last five. You see they're 5-0, on the money line and spread, but 0-5 on their over under, and averaging a 206 total. So then you also, before I forget, you can filter here sports books, because different sports books have different lines. So you can see, if they're 5-0 against a spread against FanDuel, or they may be 4-1, given that FanDuel had a different line than DraftKings for a given game. Moving to the blog tab here, in which you'll see various articles that will be uploaded to the site. You can click on these articles to read upon the information in them, giving you basically, a summary, whether it be analysis, whether it be how to use the site itself. You can find that in the blog tab. Contact tab, you can general inquiries that you may have, any support you may need, whether it be a bug, a feature request, or just a general question that you have. You can find here. And then you also can find the social media pages for Nxt Gen Amolytics across X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and the Discord. Moving to the glossary tab here, in which you'll see stats that are used across the platform. Some of these stats you may not understand what they mean. So the idea here was to give you some clarity on what they mean, as well as the formulas used to create them. A typo there, but here you got effective field goal percentage, in which you have the definition of it as well as the formula used to calculate it. Lastly, moving to account settings, in which you can customize both your theme and your default sportsbook. So currently right now I have my theme set as system, in which is predicated on my max settings. However, you can switch it to light mode, in which now your UI renders in light mode. Myself, I prefer dark mode, and then as well as the sports book. So you saw as I was showing you the props and the betting lines, that by default it was showing DraftKings. However, say for instance I use Caesars, and so now if I go to props, for example, you will see the sportsbook default to Caesars. That is the overview in a snapshot. I want to thank you guys for your support. If you have any questions, please let me know. Have a good night.